All right, as a Christian, we need to learn to think rationally and reasonably. So we're actually in the natural trying to explain the supernatural through the book that God gave us and the revelation of the Holy Spirit in our minds. So right now I want to share with you a mystery that has not really been shown to Christians. However, it is definitely biblical. So Revelation chapter 13, verse 18. Notice that it's in verse 18. 18, remember that number. So here we go. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. That is 666. So what's the Bible talking about when it's talking about the number of a man, the number of a beast is 666? We know that number as Christians, right? It's this satanic number. Well, let me show you what that is. It's very scientific, actually. So, we are made up of atoms. Most of us learned that in our high school science class, right? And in an atom, you have something like rings, a couple of rings, and then you have the nucleus. Now in the nucleus, you have protons and you have neutrons. You have protons. How many protons do you have? In the nucleus, you have 6 protons. And guess how many neutrons you have? You have 6 neutrons. Okay? And on the rings on the outside, you have electrons. Can you guess how many electrons you have on the outside? 6. So an atom that we are made up of has 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 electrons. That is why Revelation 13, verse 18, on verse 18, 18 divided by 3 equals, how many times does 3 go into there? It's 666, right? Or we could put it like, actually we could put it, so the number 18, you have 3 times the number 6, you get 18. Hence, Revelation chapter 13, verse 18. This is the number of a man, and this is a carbon atom. Carbon, what we are all made out of. When you notice Bill Gates talk about the lowering the carbon measurement in the world, I hope you know that he's talking about humans. Okay, I laugh, but it's true. When he talks about they talk about carbon tax and lowering carbon emissions and carbon this and that. Why do you think they've got you wearing masks? Because you emit carbon. You are made up of partly carbon. And that's what they're talking about when they tell you that. Now, it's an interesting thing that if you switch the T with a D, and an A, you put an A there, it's atom or atoms, right? So we're made up of atoms, and the first man was called Adam, which actually means earth. Adam means earth. So this is a really interesting fact because, there's been some misunderstandings about what things actually mean. And go look this up on Google. Just Google it yourself. Anybody can find these facts out. The Bible has numbers in it for reasons, and the Bible is very scientific. Very scientific. Now, the next thing I want to show you guys is that most of you guys have heard of the pineal gland, the third eye, in the center of your forehead. It's actually in the middle of your brain. The ancient Egyptians actually used to have hieroglyphs, this darn thing, of the eye, right? The eye, it's almost like this. And they use it for like the Illuminati things, and it goes like this, and then in the center it's like this, right? And that's like the sideways thing, right? And it's like this. And it's something like that, the Egyptian hieroglyph of an eye. Well, actually what that's representing is your pineal gland, okay? That's what it's called. Pineal. And now it's called pineal gland because pine, it looks like a pine cone. It's in the center of your head, real small, but it looks like a pine cone. And the Egyptians used to have it, and the Vatican has images of the pine cone everywhere, symbolizing the pineal gland. And what the pineal gland is basically, one of the ways that it's like your Wi-Fi for the spiritual realm. So it, goes out, to the spiritual realm. And that's why you hear a lot about they're trying to calcify everybody's pineal gland. I think that the pineal gland actually has a lot to do with a lot of things in the Bible. When we read about Adam and Eve's eyes were opened, well, could be talking about the third eye. Or when Jesus says, if your eye is dark, how great the darkness. This is where this has to do with your imaginations, your thoughts, your motives, your intents, your connection with the spiritual realm. In Ephesians chapter 6, we read about chapter 6, verse 12. We read about Paul telling us that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the spiritual wickedness in this world, against the rulers of the darkness of this world. And he's talking about a spiritual battle, which I believe this third eye has a lot to do with. Now, here's the mind blower. The mind blower is this. In the book of Genesis, it talks about Jacob, a very well-known person in the Bible. And he wrestled with God all day. He wrestled with God. Now, notice the key thing. It said wrestled. Now, we see the Bible mention Jacob wrestling with God. Where else do we see this? We see this in Ephesians 6:12. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood. So we have Jacob in a wrestling match with God all day, right? Well, was Jacob physically wrestling? No, I believe that he's referring to the same wrestling that we're talking about in Ephesians 6:12. It's a spiritual battle. Now, Jacob was wrestling with God, and here's the crazy thing. It's not crazy, it's very interesting. That when it was all said and done, Jacob named the place that he wrestled with God. Can you guess what the name was? He named it, not pineal, but penial. There was an E instead of an I, but isn't that a little too close for comfort? To name the place that Jacob wrestled with God? Penial? Just like the pineal gland? Come on. Doesn't that story make sense now? Well, remember when those songs that the Illuminati creates where it says E-I-E-I-O? Maybe it's talking about how they switched the E to an I. E-I-E-I-O. When you notice it, you go, oh. I'll tell you what, the guys, I hope they all go to heaven, the Illuminati and all these guys, because they have incredible knowledge. And I wish, that they know a lot of things. I wish them, that they would just go to heaven and believe in Jesus. But that's what it is. The E got switched to an I for penial to pineal. And when he's wrestling with God, it's referring to, in my opinion, the third eye. And that's what he named the place where he wrestled with God. So the Bible is full of these mysteries. They're wonderful. I love sharing them with you guys. And so that's there's a couple mysteries there to think about. The Bible is much deeper than we've been told, and it's not really Christians' fault, you know. It's just how it is, you know. These things are the time is now. Daniel talks about in the latter times, you know, that these mysteries will be revealed. It says that knowledge will increase, and that is happening through the internet, and we're able to watch just intake so much knowledge and information, and you know, it's really just a time of revealing. God is lifting the veil, and my friend Michael actually said, in the end times, it's going to be demonic on earth because the veil is being lifted, so that veil that separates the physical from the spiritual is going to be fully open when we have the Antichrist, which actually means counterfeit Christ, on the earth. Basically, Satan incarnate in a body. So we have some interesting times ahead of us. But that is why these revelations are coming out now through the science. We can see what the atoms are, and isn't it interesting that these things have a huge significance in the Bible? They match up perfectly. So there's a couple things also, you guys. Last message, if you guys want to donate to my buddy's GoFundMe, I posted it. His screen name is Aztec Poet on Instagram here, AZTEK POET, and I think there might be a 1. I'm not sure though, maybe not. Posted it, but I guess his sister passed away, so they're doing a GoFundMe for the funeral. So if you guys want to check that out. Anyways, thank you guys. I just wanted to share these amazing things with you. God says to be a steward of the mysteries. Good steward of the mysteries.